CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Brendan Purdy.
Having an asthma, so we just keep inside, but I know it's not really good to stay outside, including that smell.
Tonight on CTV News, smoky skies. A fire continues to burn at a landfill west of Edmonton. Good evening and thanks for joining us. People living near a landfill fire burning west of Edmonton are fed up with the smoke and smell and fearful for their health. The fire started several days ago, and as CTV's Gates Guarin reports, the company that owns the landfill still isn't talking.
Alfie Baoy has been keeping himself and his kids inside their Seacourt area home all week.
We just keep inside the kids and me also having an asthma, so we just keep inside, but I know it's not really good to stay outside, including that smell and
That smell is coming from the GFL landfill just across the highway. A fire that started there Sunday is still burning, and people in the area want it put out.
If the smell is not good, we're staying inside because I don't want the kids complain too, and then they get sick and all that.
After having quite a good summer, and then all of a sudden the smoke, because it was quite bad. The smell is so disturbing.
Parkland County says air quality is a, quote, paramount concern, and all efforts are being made to minimize the spread of smoke. It says specialized industrial firefighting contractors have been brought in, but the fire is expected to burn for some time. People we spoke with say they want the fire to be put out quickly, but are unsure where to go for help.
I don't know who to complain, but just like I said, I just been keeping my kids and myself also inside.
Pediatric respirologist Dr. Ann Hicks says toxins in the air could have serious short and long-term effects.
In a landfill, you would be releasing toxins from things like plastics that are burning. And you also worry about heavy metals. So things like mercury and lead and stuff that would absolutely be potentially in paint or old, you can imagine old housing materials.
Hicks says staying inside and limiting exposure to smoke is the best thing you can do. Alberta's environment minister says the province monitors cases like these across the province.
When we do have incidents we need to look into, our department does that in coordination with other departments, often with forestry and parks and public safety.
Parkland County says the cause of the fire is under investigation, and the landfill will remain closed until the fire is put out. Gates Guarin, CTV News, Edmonton.
Edmonton Fire is asking people to refrain from calling 911 to report the smoke from the landfill. The president of the union representing thousands of healthcare workers poised to strike says despite days of mediation, the two sides remain far apart. Last week, healthcare workers represented by the Alberta Union of Provincial Employees voted overwhelmingly in favor of a strike. They include licensed practical nurses, healthcare aides, and more. AUPE's president says the province doesn't recognize how essential these workers are. They could go on strike as early as next week.
We do have essential services agreements that actually ensure the life and limb of Albertans, the safety of Albertans. But at the end of the day, we will see an impact in terms of already a healthcare system that's under huge stress, where we're seeing long wait times for absolutely everything. And it's going to impact Albertans.
The union can serve strike notice Monday if a deal isn't reached. The province says it trusts both sides will come to a fair and reasonable agreement. Another union representing healthcare workers says it has the support of Albertans as it returns to the bargaining table with AHS.
Right behind me, you can see wall to wall, floor to ceiling, are hundreds of messages of support from Albertans. Earlier this month,
the Health Sciences Association of Alberta says it's received thousands of supportive notes after launching its Put Yourself in Their Shoes campaign earlier this month. Mediation between HSAA and AHS resumed today. The union represents 22,000 healthcare workers from paramedics to laboratory technicians and more. Back in September, 60% of members rejected a tentative deal. Since then, the union has been asking for more bargaining to happen. Union President Mike Parker couldn't say how close or far apart the two sides are.
Have to be very cautious right now because as we walk into formal mediation, we have agreed to embargo the conversation. This allows the two sides to have fruitful discussions. But I can tell you this, our members have been loud and clear that what they need in all of this is the strength of a collective agreement that retains the workers we have and recruits more.
The province says it respects the collective bargaining process and remains committed to reaching a fair and reasonable agreement that supports both healthcare professionals and Alberta taxpayers. Edmonton Fire Rescue responded to an early evening fire at an apartment building in the city's Jasper Place neighborhood. Fire crews arrived to 152nd Street shortly after 5 p.m. 14 trucks were called to the scene where crews battled the fire for hours. According to Edmonton Fire, everyone was evacuated from the building and no injuries were reported. Neighbors told CTV News that multiple animals were rescued from the apartment, including guinea pigs and cats.
I heard sirens and I looked out the window and there was 2 fire trucks across the street. So I came out because a lot of my friends live in the building, and within 5 or 10 minutes there was smoke coming out of one of the suites on the 3rd floor.
The cause of the fire is under investigation. Edmonton Fire says they believe that the fires started in the walls. Edmonton police are asking the public for dash cam footage from a crash that left a woman with life-threatening injuries. It happened around 2:30 Sunday afternoon at 167 Ave and 97th Street. Police say the 31-year-old woman was turning left onto 167th when she was hit by another driver going through the intersection. The crash caused her car to hit another vehicle and a power box. Police believe the other driver was speeding. Any witnesses or drivers with dash cam footage of the crash are asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers. New City Councillor Reed Clarke is leaving the Better Edmonton party to operate as an independent this term. The party says it respects his decision and will stick around until the next election to act as an opposition voice. CTV's Jeremy Thompson has more on what this new municipal political landscape could look like.
3 weeks after the election and before its first proper meeting, City Council's makeup is shifting. It's the same group of 13 people, but Councillor Reed Clarke says he's leaving the Better Edmonton party, a move he says gives clarity to his supporters.
I'm going to be their voice and represent them, and there won't be any kind of outside voices that'll be influencing my decisions moving forward.
Clarke's move leaves incumbent Karen Principe and newcomer Mike Elliott as the only councillors affiliated with a party. During the campaign, former party leader Tim Cardmell said the plan was never to whip votes in chambers, pledging the party would go dormant after the election. Better Edmonton's new board chair says the party is very much awake.
We've regrouped, and we've had a couple directors meetings.
Cam Johnson respects Councillor Clarke's decision to leave the party. His focus is what comes next. Johnson wants to build a party brand strong enough to prevent a vote split on the centre-right 4 years from now.
We expect to have, a bit of a shadow council. We'll have comments for sure about some of the decisions that come down.
I don't blame Better Edmonton for sticking around.
This political advisor says the election was successful for Better Edmonton's first try, winning 3 races and capturing second place in 7 others. He says acting like an official opposition will take dedication.
Do they have the resources to have, dedicated people who can analyze and respond, and are there 2 representatives, their 2 councillors going to actually be their spokespeople.
Mike Elliott tells CTV he hasn't made a decision on sticking with Better Edmonton yet, and Karen Principe did not reply to our request. Meanwhile, a leader with PACE, Edmonton's other political party, tells CTV it also plans to stay active and critique council as Alberta's experiment with city parties enters a new phase. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Some Alberta municipalities want the province to take over collection of the education portion of property taxes. That's one resolution being made at the Alberta Municipalities Convention and Trade Show, which kicked off earlier today in Calgary. Currently, municipalities must gather education property taxes on behalf of the provincial government.
I think it creates confusion amongst everyone that we serve when they're when they're seeing the tax bill every year and not understanding that it's actually not all going to the municipal services they expect, because they're still paying that bill to the city of Edmonton, and then we're taking a portion of that and having to send it right back to the provincial government. That's actually an unnecessary step.
The UCP government says it's considering what role a new Alberta tax collection agency could play in shifting tax collection burden. A busy road in West Edmonton is back to 4 open lanes of traffic. The 95th Avenue renewal project is being put on hold for winter. The city says this will help traffic move safely and efficiently during our snowy months. Phase 2 will resume again in the spring. It will concentrate on the south side of 95th Ave between 163rd Street and 170th. Work that's been done includes new sidewalks, a new shared pathway, and stormwater drainage infrastructure. Edmonton was treated to vibrant red and green northern lights last night. Although beautiful, they can create problems with satellites, communications, and even our power grid. CTV's Amanda Anderson explains why.
Streaks of bright green and red lit up the night sky Tuesday, a display of the Aurora Borealis, unlike anything some have seen before.
These ones weren't really moving the same way, but a beautiful color. A little bit of green mixed in, but not too much movement. So pretty though.
The show, the result of the sun releasing 2 bursts of electrically charged particles, which then hit the Earth's magnetic field.
Just the sheer volume, the energy that basically was absorbed by the Earth's atmospheric gases, that gave us that red that we saw. The green is a little bit lower down in the Earth's atmosphere.
Many people shared photos, captivated by the abundance of red in the sky.
Heard all about it, saw so many pictures, and I went outside and there were none.
Frank Florian says there's a reason some may not have seen the red in all its glory.
You look up there and you don't see anything, but a camera, the sensors on your camera are very sensitive to the broad spectrum of light, and they'll be able to pick up that red, which the human eye can't.
Northern lights may be nice to look at, but the combination of electrically charged particles and the magnetic field can wreak havoc here on Earth.
In 1989, I believe, in March, there was a huge auroral display that also blew out one of the generators for Quebec Hydro, costing billions of dollars to repair. So it affects everything from phone transmission. So if your cell phones were acting up yesterday, you may have that may have been associated with this event as well.
EPCOR tells CTV News it hasn't had any issues so far, but solar storms can affect equipment or cause voltage fluctuations. That's why it increases monitoring and takes proactive steps to protect the grid when geomagnetic activity is detected. Florian says the sun goes through an 11-year solar cycle, which right now is at its max.
So in about 6 years' time, you may not see much of anything of the aurora, maybe a few nights here and there, but not as much as we see right now.
The northern lights are expected to return.
I'm going to get my phone out tonight instead and try and look at them.
Tonight's display predicted to be even more energetic and chaotic than last. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Incoming rule changes to the CFL aren't being welcomed with open arms by fans. This, according to a recent Angus Reed poll. Of the more than 2,000 Canadians that took part in the survey, over half of respondents that follow the league closely believe the CFL should differentiate itself as much as possible from the NFL. That number then jumps to nearly 3/4 when speaking to the game's biggest fans. Rule changes that will be implemented over the next 2 seasons include shortening the field from 110 to just 100 yards, shortening end zones by 5 yards, and moving the uprights to the back of the end zones.
We like the CFL for being different than the NFL. A lot of Canadian fans tune into the CFL because it's much different than the NFL, right? So whenever changes like these are announced, you're going to have some backlash.
Of the rule changes, the most polarizing is the shortening of the field, with only 28% of respondents in favor. Marmot Basin in Jasper is postponing its opening day. The ski hill was originally hoping to open on Friday. Marmot says warmer temperatures have forced it to pause snowmaking operations. It hopes to resume on Friday. While Marmot hasn't given an official new opening date, it says it's aiming for sometime next week. The Hardesty Fitness and Leisure Center is closed tonight because of a fire in the sauna. Staff noticed the fire just after 3 yesterday afternoon. 30 people needed to be evacuated. The city says it took fire crews about half an hour to put the fire out. It says the fire was a mechanical or electrical malfunction. The center will be closed while repairs are made. Just ahead, fashion first. A pair of Albertans are making their mark on a global scale. Plus, scamming and scheming. We bring you the case of a local bank manager in the latest edition of the Crime Tapes.
The more we can generate, of course, the more money goes back to our client and in turn to replace funds that are missing from the bank.
Good evening, folks. We've got one more warm day tomorrow and then a chance of some flurries tomorrow night. Ushers in a big cool down that'll start Friday. Full look at that cool down and how long it'll last in just a few minutes.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Welcome back. An Edmonton bank manager named Nick Lissick seemed to have it all back in 2002. The moneylender ran a BMO branch in West Edmonton while also running a scam and stealing millions of dollars. There were muscle cars, mini mansions, and multiple women. CTV's David Owasik looks back on a story stacked with interest. On this, the latest installment of the Crime Tapes.
In the late summer of 2002, 51-year-old bank manager Nicholas Lissick was living a life most could only dream of. Rare and expensive cars, more than a half-dozen girlfriends, and a seemingly endless supply of money. Millions upon millions of dollars. The problem was, none of it was really his. When he got caught, the spoils of his scam were made public. A story we've held on to on our Crime Tapes. Old locks were cut off, others had to be jimmied, as the full measure of one man's scam was opened up for all to see. Impressive properties in the city, a lakefront cabin, and a seemingly endless array of expensive automobiles. All of it seized and assessed by a receiver working for the Bank of Montreal. It came after that bank's auditors discovered Nick Lissick's multi-million-dollar bank loan fraud. While their branch manager spent some of the stolen money on himself, as well as on his family, he also lavished gifts, homes, and even businesses on a half-dozen paid sex workers he was seeing.
Hi, Amanda?
Yeah, I don't want to be videotaped or make a comment. I am not talking to the media. If you want, you can call my lawyer.
The bank's efforts to retrieve as much of the missing money as was possible included an auction that saw vehicles of all types, including Lissick's prized muscle cars like a rare Hemi Cuda, going on the auction block to the highest bidder.
The more we can generate, of course, the more money goes back to our client and in turn to replace funds that are missing from the bank.
I was looking at the Mopars, but they're going to go fairly expensive. Beautiful cars, though.
As the investigation into Lissick continued, the public found out how he was able to continue his scheme for a half-dozen years, and his reasoning for doing it in the first place. All of the material goods and properties linked to Lissick amounted to overwhelming evidence, giving the former bank manager no choice but to make a deal. And instead of going to trial, that's exactly what Nick Lissick did. He pleaded out and gave an accounting of where all that money went. That's coming up in our conclusion tomorrow on the Crime Tapes.
Two Albertans have broken into the global fashion and beauty industry. As CTV's Alicia Fieldberg reports, they're both making sure the province is woven into all of their work.
Introducing his makeup in the mall where he spent most weekends as a teen is a full circle moment for Hung Bango.
Calgary's home for me. I brought up here and having my own brand that sells Sephora and even Kerry in my own hometown. It's pretty surreal. I know it sounds silly, I'm crying, but it is emotional for me.
It's a long way from where he started.
My family and I, we escaped Vietnam to refugee camp, and then we came here after.
His career began at a Calgary hair salon before he switched to makeup, becoming coveted by A-listers and now launching his own line across Canada and the United States.
Never dreamed to work with celebrity or have my own brand.
An inspiring story for Calgarians who lined up to meet him.
I've always wanted to be a celebrity makeup artist, so we know it's possible.
Always happy to see a Calgarian make it big.
Another Calgarian making it big in fashion is Aurora Borealis. The model was featured in September's U.S. Vogue, along with her family at a photo shoot in Kananaskis.
It is the most difficult publication in the world to get into, so for her to have a single girl story and with her family is unbelievable.
Having Canada being put on the map by Vogue has been so cool, and I'm glad that me and my family as immigrants, as refugees, were able to represent Canada.
Odiung was a toddler when her family came to Canada as refugees from South Sudan in 2002. Years later, she was folding clothes at Old Navy when she was approached to model, and her career has taken off.
I've been able to take care of my family, myself, my friends.
Whether showcasing high fashion in the Canadian Rockies or naming a lipstick after Calgary's area code, both Awar and Hung are proud to have the spotlight on Alberta and hope their stories encourage others.
There's no limitation to your dreams.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Calgary.
Help us build a mountain of toys. Donate today at ctvedmonton.ca.
Welcome back. -4 this morning. First time in a couple of days. The temperatures have slipped below zero. Get used to that. 8 degrees for a high today, 6 degrees warmer than average. We'll be in the same ballpark for one more day tomorrow, and then back closer to average for Friday and through the weekend. Overnight tonight, you've got a chance for a little bit of patchy freezing rain in parts of the Peace Country. That'll then change over to some snow, maybe a couple centimeters worth of snow for northern Alberta through tomorrow morning. We'll get some snow as well in through the mountain parks around Jasper. And then watch how as this front drops off to the southeast, along the leading edge of it, there will likely be, for a while, a little bit of rain before it flips over to snow. And the heaviest of the snow, a couple centimeters worth, should be off to the west and north of Edmonton. Keep that in mind if you have travel plans to put you on highways west or north of Edmonton, especially through the afternoon hours tomorrow. Best chance for the Edmonton region comes through the evening, and you notice how it really kind of looks like it'll break down as it approaches the city. So very good chance that we'll see at least some precipitation. Just doesn't really look like we're going to wake up to snow on the ground Friday morning, and then we'll get some clearing through Friday afternoon, but a cool down. Watch tomorrow, some really warm air, especially in southern, southeastern Alberta. We're on the edge of it here in Edmonton. I don't think the double digits make it to Edmonton. They should get to Red Deer, though. And then, some cooler air starts to take over for Friday and the weekend. -2 in Edmonton tomorrow morning, -6s, -7s in east central, northeastern Alberta, about -2 for Grand Prairie. You're back to around +2 tomorrow afternoon with that chance of some showers or wet snow. Watch for maybe in the morning hours, a little bit of patchy freezing rain. 2 in Fort McMurray, you get some snow in the morning, should taper off in the afternoon. 6 for Lloydminster, but 12 into Red Deer tomorrow. Here at Edmonton, we'll get to about 7 or 8 for a daytime high. Some increase in cloud, that chance of precipitation tomorrow night. Then windy and 2 degrees Friday. 2s and calmer conditions for Saturday, Sunday, and somewhere in the +2 to -2 range for daytime highs next week. That is your forecast.
A man in Edmonton who loves building puzzles doesn't have enough room for his latest creation.
This puzzle is hanging up in the Panama City airport. I wasn't there, but I saw it on a picture. And so when I saw it, I said, well, that's the challenge. Let's try to do that one.
When you're building a puzzle, every piece has its place. Rick O'Donnell's problem is he has no place for his finished piece. He started working on this 42,000-piece puzzle about 2.5 years ago. He says it took him roughly 800 hours to complete. It was built in 7 sections, and each bag had 6,000 pieces.
I did it in sections on the ping pong table. And so while I'm watching the Oilers game or football or whatever on TV, I was, putzing away at putting together puzzles and sorting out pieces, and, eventually it just comes together.
He says this around-the-world puzzle is by far the largest that he's ever completed. No kidding. The finished piece is more than 7 meters long, so unlike his other puzzles, he has nowhere to display it. He's hoping a school or a library will take it off of his hands and mount it on a wall. Absolutely incredible. 42,000 pieces to the puzzle. I don't think I could dream of completing that. All right, folks, that's all from us on this Wednesday. Thanks for wrapping your day with us on CTV News. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, take care and goodbye for now.